LIGHTBOB TV episode 11 on Monday. This is funny because I did this episode about an hour ago and I was so depressed. I didn't like it. It didn't go well, and I kind of decided to redo it because I owe you that, and also because it's the power that we have. I can, and this is for prosperity, and I wanted my son to be proud of me. And I think I did over 40 episodes right now, so I think you deserve to have the best of the best. So today we're going to talk about 3D printing and lighting, and the reason why I want to bring that to you is because I've been in the 3D printing additive manufacturing for over 15 years, and it seems a daunting things to confront because of all the technology that is going metal, plastic, chemic, laser, chemicals, all of that. So I wanted to give you my viewpoint. This is not a 3D printing course. This is lighting thinking applied to 3D printing. Because for years, I designed probably over 100 custom fixtures, all kinds of all sizes, for probably 25, 30 different manufacturers. And I was always at the mercy of somebody because I couldn't do it all by myself. I'm a pretty handy guy. I know metalsmith, I know welding, I know electronics, I know optics, I know all of that. But I was always limited because I didn't have the shop, the knowledge, all of that. But with 3D printing, it totally switched my viewpoint, and it totally switched the way that I think about lighting. And for those of you out there that are questioning if I should do it, is it complicated? That's why I wanted to create this series, because it brings your ideas to product way faster. And before we print anything, like before you start printing, and you I think it's very important as a designer or as a person, you understand light that we are trying to shape, right? If we don't understand the what we've been talking for the past 40 episodes, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to do a 3D printing fixtures that it's going to render your thought. So let's look at it. Two things: directional and general diffuse. Remember those words? This is what I've been telling you from the beginning. So episode 1 today, Monday, we always talk about source. So I want you to think about these two things whenever we're going to talk about everything I'm going to talk about in 3D printing. It's all about directional and general diffuse. And as far as technology, I decide also that I would keep it very, very simple with you, that we would look at available bulbs on Amazon, eBay, Home Depot. So you go there, you find your bulb, either an A lamp, a par lamp, a GU10, or a candelabra, or one of those little low voltage. And with that, if you understand what they do, you'll have an unlimited a palette of creation. You'll be able to create anything you want. So let's start with directional lights, because directional light, as we saw, is a very focus. You're going to put highlight on something, very controlled beam, right? And also what happened is when you put a lot of emphasis on one thing, the rest become less important. So you're enhancing your contrast by focusing on something. Also, what directional does is that If you light up very close to a wall, it will reveal the texture. So if you have a texture wall and you put your light, directional light along the wall, you will see some beautiful texture happening. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because I want you to create your fixtures and tell me a story about it. Not tell me all the technical detail. I don't care about the technical detail. I want you to tell me what your creation is gonna do. And when I say me, it could be your client, your boss, the people you're working with, your wife, whatever. Now let's talk about the general diffuse. Well, what general diffuse does, and we had many different examples, but it creates a beautiful soft light everywhere. So you have a nice even light everywhere, and also it reduces dramatically the shadow. So you basically have no shadow because the light is everywhere, right? So it creates a very comforting place. It creates a very soft and a very place you want to chill and hang out because nothing is brutal about it. You don't have these sharp, edges. You don't have these sharp contrasts. You don't have these beautiful shadow. You have nothing of that. Everything is nice and smooth and general and so now that we refresh our memory and then now we got to think about, okay, so we want to create a 3D print fixtures. We want to create a fixture, a model. We have an idea of a theme. Maybe it's futuristic, maybe it's antique, maybe it's fantasy, whatever. What do we want that fixtures to do, right? So we want to have a directional, or do we want to have a general diffuse? Then we start sketching, right? Because in 3D printing, what's happening is that you'll be designing the aesthetic of the fixture yourself. So, yes, you can use a cylinder, and everybody has a cylinder. But what's the purpose of redesigning a cylinder, right? Before, you would look in a catalog, you say, well, this is the choice I have with that manufacturer. You look at another catalog, I have this choice. You look at another catalog. Then you find, oh, wow, I like this one. Oh, this one comes from a different country. It's not approved. It's not, can't do that. Now, you don't need to select your fixture. Now you think of your concept, your idea, and then you create your fixture. You materialize it from your head. You look at some drawing inspiration. You want something that is twisted and then has little vein like branches. You take some pictures and you start sketching. And you said, this is going to be the envelope of my directional light. It's going to look like a bunch of stems that are going to branch out in a big trunk. And in any of them, they're going to be directional light that are going to highlight some specific place. Just by giving this conversation, this small conversation with you, you have in your head an idea of what it is. And that's what this whole series is about. I don't care about all the technical stuff. I don't care about what printer you use. I don't care about what color filament. What I care about is that you understand for yourself, and we'll look at that as we look to material, translucent, opaque, reflective, ultraviolet, glow in the dark. All these different materials are going to enhance your concept. But if you don't have an idea of what you do, you're just, wasting material. So once you control the light, the source, what you want to do, the next thing you probably want to control is the diffusion, right? Then the direction. Because let's say you have a beautiful general diffuse. Well, if you put it in an envelope that doesn't diffuse the light, what's going to happen? Nothing. You're not going to see any light out of it. But if you start to make some opening in it, then you're going to have some light that comes in, and then it's going to be, you're going to have lights and contrast and shadows and different things. So now you start to have a little fun. right? Same thing with a directional. If you use a directional light and you have a beautiful texture fixtures that, you know, you have all the spotlights that are creating or highlighting some architectural detail, well, your attention is not on the fixture because it's a decorative piece. Your attention is going to be where the light goes. And this is what you want to do. You want to have your attention there. That's why you're using a directional. Or else you light up the whole room and everything looks the same. Make sense? So when you have a 3D print mindset, what is the most important thing? Well, you have to understand the difference between the two sources, because your result is going to be affected, and the creation you're going to put in, if you don't understand, it's not going to work. So you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste money, you're going to waste everybody else's time. So very important to understand that. And what I want you to do is keep it simple. Start very simple. There's no need to have something too complicated. There's no need to have very elaborate things that, you know, nobody understands. Start very, very simple. One LED source, a basic holder, and a print form. That is the bottom line that you can do. And then start opening the light. See how the light is operating when you put this, when you do that, when you add a diffusion, right? And then look at the shadow, look at the spread, look how you're limiting maybe the waste, you know, because we have some, if we have a 10 degree, we may have a beam that's a little bigger because there's a little bit of a spill or waste. Now, if you take that light and you put it in the cylinder, you start to cutting out, you'll only have your beam of light. So start experimenting with that. And don't worry too much about the physical shape of the fixture for now. Look at the transparency. Look at the intensity. What a 60-watt LED, which is about 9 watt, does compared to a 15-watt or 11-watt, and so forth, right? And how does it react? Document every phase of it. The way I do it, I have a big box, and everything about that fixtures and all the alteration and everything is done. I keep that in that box. And later I might come back and say, oh, I need that little, what did I do when this happened? Oh yeah, I took that. What you don't want to do, right? You don't want to start with a very complicated shape and color changing and you know, decorative things. Please don't. Keep it simple. Don't disconnect from the source. Keep it simple. Make your theory, make your case, make it work, and then you can start adding complexity in shape, in color changing, in different object attached to it, different accessory. So that way, you're not doing, you know, you're I see it's such a common mistake. People design an object and then they say, oh, we should make a light fixture with this. Waste of time. They think about the light after. Don't do that. Think about what kind of light, then design the object, right? Make your prototype work and then do it. And over this series, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to resource, because you're going to say, yeah, but Bob, I don't have the money to buy a 3D printer. I don't know nothing about this, nothing about that. Right now, not important. I want you to start to put your mindset in 3D printing. And believe me, feeds are going to come on your phone. You're going to start looking at things. You're going to go on Pinterest. You're going to go on YouTube. You're going to go and you're going to start, you know, learning and taking all this information in, and start thinking for yourself and make the form you want, the aesthetic, the novelty, all of that. But you'll know the light behavior behind them. Most people don't. And I laugh so much because I watch hundreds of video, and I can tell you that none of them know what lighting is all about. Why? Nobody took the time to understand light behavior. Some do. I cannot say nobody because it's a generality, but some do, but very, very few. And if you talk about our beautiful market of lighting, well, guess what? They're not even there yet. They haven't figured that out because it's an add-on problem that they don't have time to tackle. A beautiful printed object with bad lighting is still bad lighting. It's not going to give you anything else. And what's the purpose of a lighting product that is not lighting properly? Nothing. So and we can see a lot of junkyard full of them lighting products that are useless because they didn't serve anything. So although 3D printing will give you a lot of freedom, control, there's responsibility attached to it, right? And part of that responsibility is that you're no longer selecting lighting. You are defining it. So it's your responsibility to make sure that what you're defining works. What you're defining, what the source that you're using is for the right job. Or else, nobody's going to say, first of all, they're going to refuse the product. So your product's not going to be accepted. So all that time is going to be wasted. And second, you're going to take a big loss, and you'll probably say, well, that doesn't work anyway. It's bullshit. Not true. Because you didn't do your homework properly. You didn't prepare properly. And I gave you all the tools, and you have all these video. Let me just give them to you again. If you look those past show, if you scan that badge and you go and look at the beginning, we talked about it. And I repeat, and I repeat, and I repeat. And there's a reason for that. It's because this is the basic. Once you understand the basic, then you can build anything. And before you print a fixture, it's important that you have defined what type of light you want. If you don't do that, then it's just a print, just a 3D print. Sometimes I see 3D print and I said, this would make an awesome light. If you put that source in, that would be something amazing. But I think with the source. I don't think, and I know how source are behaving. But most people, they don't. And I learned that when I was in Murano and I was helping glass blower, because they could blow the most beautiful piece of glass and have no clue how to light it. Why? Because they didn't think about it. While me, what I would do, a piece of glass, it was for a purpose. It was for that type of bulb, that type of light, that type of thing. So that way it would complement and would enhance the beauty of glass, not compete or block it or, just being an afterthought. So light should guide the form, right? It should be part of it, not the opposite. Not take a form and try to stuck a light. Try to think of the final result and what you want it to do. This will help you to understand how light behave. And when you look at a light, you're in a restaurant, you're in a coffee shop, you're at home, you're in a showroom, you look at a lighting fixture, try to think how you would work it out or enhance it with 3D printing. And if you can, sketch. Make as many sketches as you can. because they're never lost. I have sketch that I made 20 years ago. I used to wake up at night and sketch my idea. I had a notepad and a pen because I had these super idea, and I would wake up and I look at it and I said, "Oh Jesus Christ, how am I going to ever produce that?" Well, today with additive manufacturing, I can, and I still have those sketch. So you never know when the application will come, or the construction of that fixtures, or but having this, having a reflex of sketching, taking notes, use your phone, type up some notes. Every idea that you have should be recorded somewhere. And then when you do a project, you can say, "Oh, what was that idea that I had? Oh, okay, that could be the base of the shape. This could be the way that the light would behave. And this could be the material we use." And right? So 3D printing doesn't replace lighting fundamental. If you don't know how a light behaves, even if you're really, really good at 3D printing, but it exposed them. It will help you if you understand direction, diffusion, and perception. For me, 3D 3D printing, lighting, the source stay the same. It's everything around it that become my vision. And I wish the same to you. Again, start understanding, look at the video, directional versus diffuse light before designing or print any fixtures. And you'll see how easy it is to create fixtures that does something you want. And I said fixtures, but it could be an accessory. Could be something for a light fixtures that you have that you don't like that it does, and boom, you put it on top, or you suspend it above, or you create a little arm and you redirect it, and you'll see that now you're moving, you're taking this source and you're adding up some accessory, and you're moving up in the lighting world, and you're moving up in your creativity, and you're creating new pieces that will enhance the idea that you have. So thank you very much for being there today. Like I said, I had to redo this episode. Tomorrow we're going to talk about fixtures, and this is going to be and the first series this week is going to be very 10,000 feet, and then we're going to start landing, and in 3 weeks we'll be talking about some materials, some how you can get better at it, because by that time your reality and your affinity for 3D printing will be better. And Friday I'll try to give you a little homework too, which is something that I haven't done before, but I'd like for you to start to act things in your career. Do things for you, not for me. I don't care. I do it anyway. So thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.